from massagechairrelief.com, and I hope everything's working out here now, Tom. But I've got Tom Lilienthal on the other end of the camera. You're in California, right? You're in Northern California, and I'm in Salt Lake City. I really appreciate you being here today, Tom, and thank you for making yourself available for an interview. I haven't been able to do an interview for the longest time because I was doing it on a PC laptop and I was using Skype, but I had to use a different recording software, and it would always not work. Not always, but most of the time it didn't work. One of the audio didn't work, one of the pictures didn't work. So now I got this little Mac here because it was on sale at Costco, and this actually can record in the Skype software, which surprises me that I won't do that otherwise. But anyways, enough of the preamble. I'm really glad to have you, and it's the first interview we've done in a long time for my business. So I appreciate you being available.
Glad to be here.
All right, Tom. Now you purchased the Infinity IT-8500x3, which is essentially the same chair as the Infinity Smart Chair X3. Both are upgrades from the old Infinity IT-8500, which was a very, very popular chair for years and years and years, and they still are. The 8500x3 and the Smart Chair X3, very popular even still. But why don't you tell me a little bit about, well, again, why don't we start from the beginning? How did you happen to come upon the Smart Chair X3? What other chairs did you look into? How did you arrive at that particular model?
I owned a massage chair probably 30 years ago. I bought from Sharper Image. Obviously, the technology wasn't anywhere near close to where things are today. But I always had in the back of my mind that I'd like to get another one. But costs just seemed like it wasn't going to be something that would be a high priority for me. I guess a couple of months ago, my wife said to me on a Saturday, would you please go to Costco and take care of the shopping list? And I don't ever go to Costco on a Saturday for obvious reasons, but happy wife, happy life. So I went.
There you go.
And I walked in the door, and as soon as I walked in the door, there was a Infinity Roadshow there. And so I walked up and asked the guy if I could get a ride on his chair to see what he had. And he said, certainly. And he was very smart because he asked me, did I have any issues? And these are 3 issues that are the reason why I have the chair today. One of them is I had sciatica for about 2 years, pretty bad, and it wasn't getting better much. And I had a swelling soreness on the bottom of my left foot from walking, and I understand it's probably because a tennis shoe was or a running shoe was too loose or something. And then I have lower back problems as well, which I've had for a long time. I'm a professional musician and hauling gear around, from young age. So those are the issues. I told him that, and he immediately put me in this chair. And I have, in my past, have been like your clients. I've had a chiropractor before, and so I know what adjusting is and all of that. So I get in the chair, and he puts it on the extension mode, and I'm just sitting there and enjoying it, and it's stretching me, and all of a sudden I'm adjusted, and I looked up at him totally surprised, shocked, and I said, this thing just adjusted. And he says, oh, I get that a lot. So I was very impressed by that because I didn't think that these chairs could do that. So I went with the rest of the thing. When I was done, I said, okay, so where is this in the price line? He says, well, we have more expensive, ones with other features across the way. You want to ride on one of those? I said, certainly. I spent about 5 minutes on one of the other ones, one of the upper level ones. I said, if I'm going to get one, it's going to be the first one you put me in. So I said, but I'm not an impulse buyer. I'm going to go home. I'm going to do some research online, which I know many of your clients do. And I did. And lo and behold, I found you and your website, and really spent a lot of time looking at all you had on there, and particularly studying this particular chair. And there were, and so basically it was between, am I going to get it from Costco? Am I going to get it from you? I decided, I think that morning before I took my wife to Costco for her to ride in the chair, I called you, and I don't know if it's okay for me to say this, but I was fascinated. You picked up the phone. You were in Germany, having just gone to a wedding, and you're picking up the phone to do business with me. I was just blown away that you'd even consider doing that, and so that was my first intro to you and your customer service. And you spent as much time on the phone as I needed. You answered all of my questions. I was concerned about the warranty, and your warranty is so far better because you offer, you know, for as long as I own the chair, I've got free labor. Nobody else offers that. That was a biggie for me. And then there were other issues as well, but a lot of it had to do with your demeanor, the way that you do business, looking at your website, the other tapes that you've done with people. I watched some of those. So it was, for me, it was kind of a no-brainer. If I was going to pull the trigger and do this, it was going to be with you. So I think we chatted it up a bit. My wife is usually kind of conservative about spending this kind of money, but she also knows what I've been dealing with for the past several years physically. And I said, this could probably solve possibly all of those issues. So that's, and so then I called you and chair was sent out. I did the white glove thing, which I think was your suggestion. I'm very glad that I did that because we live in a condo and it would have been left out in the parking lot. This way they brought it in, they set it up, they tested it, and they left. So it was great. Well,
thank you. That's a good segue. You mentioned that segue into talking about what the chair has done for you. Now you said to your wife you thought maybe this could maybe help you with some of the symptoms. Tell me a little bit about that you feel comfortable sharing what symptoms you were struggling with and how much, if at all, the chair has helped you with those.
I am on an exercise. I'm on a regime right now. I've been on for a couple of months where I am. It's a form of a diet. I wouldn't call it that. I just changed what I'm eating. And I won't go into that because it doesn't have much to do with the chair, but it has to do with losing weight. And this was all having to do with these issues that you're talking about. I thought, well, if I drop some weight, that might help all of this stuff. So that was one of the things. And then I have an exercise program. I'm a swimmer, so I swim every other day, a little over a mile. And on the other days, what I wanted to do was I wanted to walk. We live on a marina, and so I wanted to walk around the marina. That's about maybe 2.5 miles, something like that, round trip. And that would be a great program for me. So I went out before I got the chair, and I was doing these walks, and that's when this problem with my foot came up, and I had to stop walking. So a third of what I was trying to do, I couldn't do anymore. So I thought, you know, maybe this is, this is my meatball psychology, right? I'm thinking, I felt the rollers on this chair. If it in fact has to do with the rollers breaking up whatever's going on in my foot and dissipating it, that might solve my problem, and it's worthwhile because it wasn't sore to do it. I just felt it working it. Inside of 2 weeks, the foot was fine and I was back walking again.
Wow.
And the sciatica, I won't put it all on the chair, but I'll put a lot of it on the chair. Because I was able to up the swimming and up the walking, and that helps. But the chair is a major part of that. And I've heard other people talk about, and you talk about the fact that this increases blood flow and all of that. I'm sure it all contributes, but the end result, all three of my major issues, which were plaguing me for the last couple of years, are all but gone. The lower back is still kind of hanging around every now and then, but the other two are gone.
Wow.
And so for me, it was well worth it. I could totally justify the cost of the chair for what it's done for me. And not to mention the fact I ride it twice in the morning and I ride it twice at night.
Wow. So you're getting a lot of use out of it. Does your wife use it too?
My wife is very sensitive. She had at first didn't like it because, as you know, this chair is a little more, brutal's too strong of a word, but it's pretty strong. And so for me, it's great. I like, deep tissue, all that stuff is fine with me. She had trouble. I took her through all the programs, and I was holding the controls. She'd be sitting in the chair, and she'd say stop, and I'd hit stop. But we found a program that she could deal with, and so she started to at least every other night get in the chair and do that program. And as what happened with me, it got easier for her. So now she enjoys that. There's some programs she just won't do, and that's okay.
Right. But she's quite content to just let you play with it and use it.
Oh, absolutely.
But twice in the morning, twice at night, that's pretty significant. That's most people, I would say, based on my years in this business, most people use it daily for maybe 4 or 5 days a week as an average. So you're definitely above normal on that.
Well, I do it because of the athletic side of it. It's got the what's it called? Is it rest? The one from exercise. There's one for
fresh.
Yes. So I use that when I come back either from swimming or walking, and then I do the extension one, and that's generally both of those are in the morning, and then in the evening before I go to bed, I will do the waist and spine, followed by again the extension one, and then I go to sleep.
Well, you know, the extension is Infinity's name for the stretch program. And a lot of people want a good stretch in a chair. And one of the things you can't get in an L-track chair where the rollers go down your back and under your butt, you cannot get a really good stretch because you can't flatten out the chair.
Mhm.
Well, the 8500 or Smart Chair, or that whole family of that model, you really can. I mean, didn't you feel like when it stretched out and it completely flattened out, didn't you almost feel like you're inverted, you're upside down a little bit?
You're in, what do they call it? Zero gravity, right? You're flat.
Well, they actually call it inversion, even though it's not a true inversion because it only goes to 180 degrees. But there's not many chairs that can recline to 180 degrees. This is few. But when you've got that seat tilted a little bit up and your legs up, it feels like you're like almost upside down, a little bit upside down. But it's a great stretch. And then you also mentioned the foot rollers. The foot rollers, the neck, and the extension on that chair is fantastic. A lot of people get it for those three reasons alone. And you've mentioned two of them in your conversation here. So obviously it means something to you as well. Were there any things that you noticed after using the chair that surprised you? Like you got it for this pain and that pain, but did you notice anything else that was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if this is related to the massage chair?
Well, I knew it was related to the use of the massage chair. One of the major things that happened was when I first got the chair, it would go through, it's a 20-minute program, I guess. It would go through maybe 10, 15 minutes, and then it would adjust me, right? I could feel it, like my back let go.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, just this morning I used it coming back from swimming, and it's the first time this happened. Before it even came up it inverted me, but before the rollers even came up underneath my back, it adjusted. It's never done that before. Usually it does it in the first or second time that it goes through that rotation. So what it's done is my back it's almost like my back's expecting it, and okay, all right, here we are, let's let go. And so it's much easier for it to let go. And then I just continue with the rest of that program, thinking that the massage is probably helping that area anyway, and the stretching is probably good.
Do you feel like you've got more range of motion? Is that what you feel like? You feel like you're more flexible?
Well, the kind of exercise that I do, I'm already pretty flexible already. And I have a series of stretches that I got from the sciatica PT guy. So I don't think it probably not applicable in this situation because I'm already pretty flexible.
Okay. Now, what do you like most about the chair? What, if anything, would you change about the chair?
What I like most about the chair is that while it's doing all of its wonderful stuff that it does, many times now, particularly at night, I'll fall asleep while it's in the middle of its function. And I wake up maybe a half hour after the thing's shut down, you know. And I'm utilizing, as I mentioned, I'm a musician, so I'm utilizing the music aspect, the speaker aspect. I just hook it up with my iPhone and go into Spotify, get my favorite stuff going, and it kind of lulls me, along with what the chair is doing, it lulls me to sleep. So the chair to me is one of the highlights of my day and evening. I just really enjoy getting in the chair. So that's what was the other thing you asked me about?
If there was anything you could change about it, you said, I wish, like if there was something you said, I wish it had this, or it didn't do this. What was that?
I've heard this from a couple of other people on your tapes, and I concur. The pillow for the head, I know that it's there as a function for, I think it's two of the programs that it has, and the other two it's not supposed to be there because you can get more intense neck work done for those particular programs. The problem is that where's the pillow supposed to go? So I kind of hang it back over the back, and then I have to remember to go get it. It's kind of, I just wish they had a better method. Maybe, I don't know what they do, if they can flatten the thing out entirely, or I don't know. I'm not a chair manufacturer, so I don't know. But that's a very, very minor thing. I'm working with that. The other thing that I also heard mentioned was, and again, these are so minor, it doesn't really matter. But when it goes into the extension mode, and it grabs the airbags grab your shoulders, and then it pulls your knees down, you're being, well, I guess the lower part of your body is being pulled down, but along with the arm placement, right? So it kind of goes, it's not exactly where you initially put your arms when you put them in those slots. So that when it comes back in between each of those repetitions, it does other things on your back, and your arms are not my arms are not well situated. They're almost out of those slots. So I have to remember to re-invert them back in there again.
Like push out to get them back in?
Yeah, I just have to remember to push them back in there, and I have to do that every rotation. Not a big deal, but you're asking. I'm hard pressed to find anything that the chair isn't absolutely 100% in my book. I saw the control for was it the 8500, the precursor to this one?
Yeah.
And it looked. This control is so easy to figure out.
Yeah.
You just sit with it for a few minutes. You don't even need to go through a manual or anything. You just sit, press buttons, and see what it does. And I've taken it. I believe I've taken it through all its paces, so I know what it does. And I'm just saying, I've seen these big placard things that some of the chairs have, and you've got like 50 different buttons on there. This is real simple.
Yeah. Well, the old 8500 was not as intuitive, that's for sure. They really upgraded it with the X3. And I would agree with that. That is, but of course, any remote doesn't seem intuitive right at first. You get used to it, but anyways, yeah, the remote on the X3 is a lot easier. Well, just out of curiosity, what instrument do you play, or instruments?
Professionally, I play electric bass and string bass.
Really?
But I did spend some, after I retired from teaching music at the high school level, I sailed my boat to Mexico and was playing some keyboards down there as well. But my main instrument is bass.
That sounds kind of fun.
It is.
My grandfather played bass, string bass, for the Richard Wagner orchestra in Turkey, and
wow.
They're from Germany. He's from Dresden, but my parents are both from Germany. But he played at this Richard Wagner orchestra in Germany, and I never really appreciated it when I was young. But boy, now that I'm older and I think about that's pretty doggone impressive, I think.
Absolutely.
Might appreciate that, being a string bass guy.
I wonder what happened to his bass.
I don't know. He lived till he was like 97 or something. I don't know. He was pretty old when he died, but I think he's forgotten everything. All right. Now, just in closing, what advice would you give to someone that's looking for a chair? Because people that are going to be watching this video for the most part are people that are in the process of shopping, and so they're trying to decide what chair to get. They may not know all the well, how do you put it? They may not know what exactly to look for or what they should be looking for. What kind of advice would you have for someone that's looking?
Number one, they need to assess what it is they want the chair to do for them. With mine, it was very clear. I had those 3 issues. That's all I was concerned about. So that's where I started. Yeah. Then the next thing I would say is, this is the way I did it. And I thought it out in advance. Then I need to go try some chairs out. So I wasn't looking, but that roadshow was there. So that started the whole thing. Yeah. I do have one caveat to mention to you that you might get a kick out of, and I wish I could remember the name of the company, but there was another roadshow that came in maybe a few weeks after my chair had been delivered and I've been using it. And I thought, I'm in Costco. Why don't I so lady was very nice. She gave me a ride in the chair, and I told her what I was looking for. Oh, this chair is going to be great. For me personally, it didn't hold a candle to the X3.
Really?
Now, for somebody else, it might be great. It was a little on the lighter side, and I just never felt it. It never really quite dug in. And I said, can you make this a little stronger? Oh no, we got it as strong as it goes. I said, okay. So again, this goes back to what I was saying, that if you spend the time riding in different chairs and doing some research, what's out there, and also the different price. I mean, listen, the fact that this price point is below what the more expensive ones are, and yet I like the chair better, that's a real plus for me. So again, knowing that stuff. And then, and I'm not trying to be a commercial for you. You're not paying me for this. I'm just telling you what my experience is. The warranty that you offer, also the fact that you're willing to match mostly any price, which you had to match a Costco price, which you told me this is not an easy thing. The Costco gets pretty good deals on this, but you didn't bellyache about it. You said, no, we'll take care of it. And then the other thing is that, again, going for your particular operation, you always follow up, whether you're sending little gifts or you're checking in to see how it's working. I don't know necessarily, just in business in general, that many people do that kind of thing. So there's this area of responsibility. You know as well as I do. You drive a car. You're looking for a good mechanic. If the guy's messing around with you, you're not going to keep going back to him. But if he keeps taking care of you, you're going to go back. And so, not that I'm going to buy a million massage chairs, but if I'm going to recommend somebody, your company is the company I want to do. So again, know what your problems are, do the research, ride in the chair.
Yeah, really. It is tough for some people to sit in them because there's just not a lot of places around the country to actually try the brands out, but you're very lucky to be able to sit in them. I think your advice is sound and great, so I really appreciate that, Tom. Thank you. And that's pretty much all I have to ask today, unless you have anything else you want to add, but I really appreciate you.
No, I'm just, the only thing I want to add is, as I probably stated, is that I'm very, very happy with the chair, and I'm very, very happy with the interaction that you and I have had since day one, and I'm looking forward to that continuing.
Well, thanks so much, Tom, and appreciate your time and energy today. It was a great interview, and you gave us a lot of good information, so thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, my friend.
All right,
We'll see you. Bye now.